Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and welcome to the Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist, a series designed to help dictate the future of the Elder Scrolls franchise every Thursday at 12 PM Eastern Standard Time, or at least I try to get your wishes out there to the internet through all the discussions that circulate in the comments down below. So be sure to fire away down there with your best ideas for the future of Elder Scrolls. Today, we're going to be continuing that future theme and talking about the future of the Elder Scrolls IP in general. This video idea was inspired by a comment from Michael Calabro, who says, "Who else thinks it's selfish for Bethesda to hoard IPs like they are? It is unfair for us Elder Scrolls fans, and Fallout even more so, to have to wait years and years to get their new game. They should let other developers work on those projects for the sake of the fans. I know they are protective of their properties, but if they want to spend 5 years working on a rotation of 3 games, they should consider how fans will feel about that. Not everyone loves all Bethesda games equally and shouldn't have to wait so damn long." Now I want to first off clarify, I don't agree with the selfish part, because that's almost like blaming Bethesda for making such good games that it makes all their IPs appealing and it increases the weight. But I do get the perspective he's coming from here, where he's saying that not everyone loves Fallout, maybe he's just an Elder Scrolls fan. I think a good example of this is the situation Naughty Dog has found themselves in. A lot of people love Uncharted, a lot of people love The Last of Us, but then you have the people who only love one of those respective series. I can personally attest to that, because Uncharted is one of the franchises that has never really synchronized with me. I just can't get into it. The Last of Us, on the other hand, is one of the best games you can play in recent memory. Now that's all subjective, getting off track here, but the point I'm getting at is that think of when Uncharted 4 was announced, and I was sitting there as that Last of Us fan thinking, will Naughty Dog ever return to that franchise, or are they going to abandon it kind of like they did with Jak and Daxter? And that's what happens when you make such good video games, is that you have this legacy of awesome titles like Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, The Last of Us, Uncharted, and then you have fans who like certain games from each of those demanding different things from one studio, and one studio can only do so much. Now here's the other thing, is this is like almost a sports team. You develop this really good prospect and you don't want to just hand him out as soon as he's good, right? Same thing with these IPs. You develop them, they are so good, they are so widely loved, you don't just want to hand them out to a bunch of studios to work on, you want to work on them yourselves. So that's why you might see that lack of consideration on the developers' behalf when we have these IPs that are left dormant for quite some time, because they want to take their crack at it with new tech, with new fresh ideas. One thing we also have to consider with Elder Scrolls is that Bethesda definitely leans heavily on Elder Scrolls Online to provide that Elder Scrolls fix for people, and they hope that people will give in to that Elder Scrolls thirst by going to Elder Scrolls Online, which has a kind of bad stigma for most hardcore Elder Scrolls fans. So while there are a lot of fans who are saying, oh my god, there's no Elder Scrolls fix, technically there is, it's just that multiplayer fix, and most likely it's the Elder Scrolls fix that people aren't looking for. Same thing can be said for Elder Scrolls Legends and every single edition of Skyrim releasing on every single platform. But now the rumor is pretty much that Bethesda Game Studios is going to be adding another IP to that bunch, so they will be owning Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and predictably Starfield, meaning that increases the weight where they are no longer going to just flip-flop between Elder Scrolls and Fallout like we could almost always predict. Now they are going to actually be balancing a third game in that rotation. And the other thing we have to consider is not only Elder Scrolls, but Fallout gained an immense amount of popularity when it came to Fallout 4. A lot of new fans came on board. This is Bethesda's most successful game, not in the terms of ratings, but in the terms of sales. And so Fallout fans are going to be waiting about just as long now for the next Fallout entry, the main Fallout entry from Bethesda Game Studios, as fans will be waiting for Elder Scrolls 6, if not longer. What I think the solution to this future IP issue is that Bethesda should hire or create their own studio that works on DLC, official DLC, I'm not talking about the Creation Club, official DLC for the games they launch, and support them for years on end. That will keep fans happy as a new game is in the works. Even if the DLC support goes on for about 3 years and then they stop, and then maybe there's a 2-year gap wait for the game, that's fine then. Yes, 2 years is long, but at least we got that support to keep us happy, to keep us from not getting so thirsty for content that you see comments like this where people would just get pissed off at Bethesda. That is just my suggestion for the solution, but I don't know if that will ever happen. I don't know if Creation Club will eventually be that solution. And it's tough as a developer. You have all these IPs people like, you can work on those, you can also try something new, but there is only so much manpower. You don't just want to go on a hiring spree, because one of the Bethesda Game Studios' unique traits is that they have all worked there for at least a minimum of a decade together. So there's that chemistry, there's that cohesion to their studio that makes it so they can make the types of games they have. So I think they're very selective on their hiring. It's a toughie, man, but Michael, thank you for the awesome discussion topic. As always, people, fire away in the comments down below with some of the topics you have come up with for the future of the Elder Scrolls franchise. I thought this would be an interesting topic following from last week's episode. Thank you guys so much for being so supportive in the comments with that video. Also, I did want to just say that because it means a lot how many of you care about that series and do know that obviously, as you can tell by this episode, it is continuing. It's going to be that series we use during the slower news weeks since we're going to be waiting so long for Elder Scrolls 6. Anyway, I'll mention again, be sure to fire away in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.